Hey YouTube, I'm Sanj. Welcome back to my channel, Sanj Designs, where I'm building my dream 6-car garage. So the plaster's now dry, ready for paint, but I'm not going to be using a roller or paint brushes. I've invested in one of these airless sprayers, so I'm going to give it a go, see what it's like, and let you know. Stay tuned. So welcome back guys, hope you've been well. Sorry about, it's been a while since I posted the last video. Because of the cold weather, the plaster took a little bit longer to dry, but I'll talk to you about that in a minute. But as I mentioned in the video, I've invested in an airless sprayer. Main reason is because I don't really want to be rolling and brushing. I did that and you can see I painted the whole kitchen, which is about the same footprint as a garage, a few years ago with a roller and a brush. Had a nice finish, but it took forever, and to be honest, I don't want to be spending 5 days painting the garage. So I've invested in one of these airless sprayers. I'm going to see how it goes. I've heard some good raves about it, but it's really a bit of a review and also me making light work of a big job. So stay tuned and let's see how that goes. All right, so the walls are nice and dry, and you've got that nice, clean, sort of pink finish. So you know the plaster's dry. However, some of the walls, particularly the pillars, have these damp patches on there. Now, you do not want to paint on damp patches. That just means that the water hasn't actually been drawn out. Now, if you try painting on that, what will happen here is the paint will sit on the surface rather than be drawn into the actual plaster itself. And what will happen over a couple of weeks, that will just start to peel off and it'll look awful. But I've got to carry on, I've got to crack on and do it, because I've got second fix, and I've also got the lights to fit as well. So I'm going to leave the pillars for now, and then what I'm going to do is basically just use a roller once they're dried. So I'm not going to rush it, but I do need to crack on and do the rest of the build. So you can see some of the prep work I've done. So I've even masked up where the sockets are going, just a little bit of cardboard. That's just to give it a nice, better finish. Because I'm spraying and not rollering, I'm going to give it a nice, neat finish, but also I don't want all the muck that comes from these sockets basically splashing out and obviously ruining the paint. So little top tip there for you. Also, basically sheeted up all of the doors. So as we know before, there's 3 big doors, and I've used these drop sheets. I'll go through that a bit later on. I'm not going to go through it now, but all of the doors have been basically sheeted up, and I've even sheeted up all the cables. I know they're going to be cut, but you know what, I prefer just a neater job. And all of the main cables down to the end, these have all been basically masked up so I don't get paint on them, because I want it to be a nice finish and I want it to be a nice professional job as well. But that's what it looks like. So we've got about 130 square meters of ceiling to do, and we've got about similar 120, 130 square meters of wall to do. So if I did it with a brush and a roller, this whole job would probably take me about a week, and that would be solid hard graft. So I'm hoping the sprayer won't take as long, but that's what we're going to try and find out. Right, let's just talk about paint first. So I'm basically going to be painting the walls white and the ceiling anthracite. I'll explain that why a bit later on, but don't worry about that for now. But for the walls and for the ceiling, I'm going to basically use this Valspar trade paint. Used it before, really happy with it, and it gives a nice finish and nice opacity. But before you do, whether using a brush or a roller or a sprayer, you've got to do something called a mist coat, because if you put it straight out of the tin, what will happen is it will just peel off, because the paint has to be soaked into particularly fresh plaster. So you have to water it down. Now, there's lots of different debates about how much that should be. I tend to use a 30%. So it's about 3 litres of water to 10 litres of paint. And that gives a nice first mist coat that I'll go through, and that basically makes sure we get a nice finish when we do the top coat. So I'll show you how I do that. Right, I'm doing this all in a cardboard box because I don't want paint everywhere. So I've got about 6 litres of paint, emulsion, straight out of the tin, and I've got just under 2 litres of, basically I've put warm water, because it's quite cold. I've actually put warm water in to keep the viscosity down. So it's just under 2 litres I'm going to put in now, and that's for the mist coat. And I'm just gradually going to mix that up. Okay, paint's ready, I've got my sprayer. I'm also going to be using this lance. It's a 67mm lance because of the height, so that will save me a lot going up and climbing up ladders and on hot pumps. I've got the instructions from Wagner, but I haven't got time to learn 7 different languages. So what I'm going to do is do what every normal person does, is go on YouTube and see how it's done. Right, so I've followed the YouTube instructions, it's primed, it's ready to go, it's set up, got the right nozzle, got it on the right setting and number 5. I'm just going to do it on the test start, see how it goes. Pretty good, really happy with that, so I'm going to get started painting now. Now, because I'm going to be using a sprayer, I'm obviously going to be using safety glasses, but I've also got a mask as well. This is a decent FFP3, because any spray paint gets into your lungs, it's not good for you. So make sure you stay safe as well. Glasses, mask, really important, but it just makes for a safer job as well. There we go, that's the first coat. Very much the first time I've ever used it. It's pretty good, it's pretty easy to use. Still got to learn a little bit. You've got to make sure there's plenty of paint in there, because I'm surprised how much paint that's coming down fairly quickly. So I reckon if I did this on my own, it'll probably take me all day. So let's do a time lapse and we'll work out what time it's going to be in terms of start to finish. Right, so day 2 now. The mist coat took about 3 hours to do, and that's the whole of the walls, the ceilings, and you can see up there where we are. So a really good finish. Took a bit longer than I'd hoped, but you know what, still quicker than using a roller and a lot less hassle than using a roller as well. So not too bad. So now the plan is I'm actually going to be doing the walls before I do the ceilings. Because I'm doing the ceilings in a different colour, slightly darker colour, you'll understand why in a minute. So walls are going to be done now, and I'll show you once that's finished. All the walls really nicely finished, and although we're using artificial light, he's actually really happy with it. And all the way around there, and also on the other side there. So that's all the walls done. That basically took me about an hour and a half to do with the sprayer, so definitely a time saver. So now, we're going to be doing the ceilings. Now, I'm doing the ceiling in anthracite to match the floor tiles, and you're thinking, hang on a minute, why are you doing the ceiling dark and the walls white? You'll understand when we do the lighting exactly why I'm doing the ceiling dark, and also going to be using a silk paint. I normally never use silk, but for this particular job, I want a little bit of a shine and a sheen, and all will become clear once the lights are on. Right, so I'm down to masking now. Now when you look at some of the YouTube videos, they say do the ceilings first, and then you basically use some of this masking tape and masking sheet, and you basically sheet across. My view is, my logic is, it's probably easier to actually mask that way and down, because it's easier to actually tape it, but also gravity will bring the sheet down. So I'm going to give that a go. I've got nothing to lose at the end of the day, because I'm going to be doing the ceiling last anyway. So this is the way I'm going to try and give it a go and see what happens. The other thing is I've got some of this masking tape, and it's got a bit of, you know, tape on there as well. I don't really trust the quality of that. I don't know whether it's because I bought a cheap one or whatever, and I'm a bit worried there's going to be a bit of bleed there. So what I'm basically going to do is just drop it about 1/2 centimetre underneath the line, and I'm going to use some of the blue painter's tape to give me that nice clean edge. So I'm going to give that a go now. So now, using some of the blue painter's tape, I'm going to go across the top edge. I'm going to give that, hopefully, a nice clean line all the way around. The masking sheet that drops down, and that can still drop down. But the blue tape is what's going to give me the clean edge. Yeah, more time, more expense, but hopefully a better finish in the long run. So I'm going to do the whole garage and see what happens. Right, so we're doing the masking, and to be honest guys, it's not as simple and as enjoyable as people will make out on YouTube. You can see, I don't know whether it's the paint that I'm using or the tape that I'm using. You know, I've used good quality stuff, but it's coming off and it's taking forever. I mean, I've done up there, I've done round there. I could have probably painted it by now, but I'm going to carry on. I'm going to give it a go, and I'm going to try it out. But you know, just a word of warning: when people start saying it's really easy to mask, unless I'm doing something really wrong, just beware when you're using a sprayer. Right, so the paint's ready to go. We're primed. And we're going to be putting it on the ceilings. Are we going to get the nice finish that we're expecting? A nice clean edge? Let's wait and see. Right, so welcome back. So all the walls and all the ceilings have been painted. That's the ceilings, that's the walls. And you can see the problem I've had with the masking tape. It starts to come off, and then now I've got sort of grey patches. And you can see all the other stuff that's there as well. That's sort of where we are. And then down the other side, that's all the other bays. So I'm going to start taking the plastic off, and you'll see what I mean with this problem with the masking. So I don't know if I've done something wrong, or it is the nature of the masking tape. So I'm going to start taking off, and some of it is actually still wet, although it's been on there for 2 days. So let's go and have a look and see what that's going to happen now. And the other thing to consider is look at how much plastic was wasted. There's nothing you can do about it, but that's almost half a bin liner full of plastic waste now. So you've got to take that into consideration when you do a job like this. Right guys, that's the painting done. And as you can see, where it's good, it's really good. But there's always little bits of stuff that have come through from the overspray where it hasn't been masked. Now, I don't know if it's something that I've done my best, but sometimes the masking tape comes off and the masking spray comes off. So something to be aware of. So I'm just going to have to touch that up. And you can see around there, I'm going to have to touch it up with a bit of white paint later on. It won't take me long because I've still got to do the pillars, because obviously they're still not painted as yet. So not a big job, but it is more work at the end of the day. We've also got the centre bay. Centre bay is looking really good. But again, you can see there's bits of overspray as well. And then obviously down at the end bay as well. So all in all, easy to use, but the whole masking experience was probably a bit of an anticlimax and a bit of a letdown for me. So bear that in mind if you're going to be doing a job like this. The other thing I mentioned is wear a mask. Look how much paint is actually on this mask. So that'll end up in your lungs as well. So make sure you wear a decent mask as well when you're spraying, particularly, you know, one of these sort of high efficiency sprays, because that'll end up in your lungs. You don't want that. So anyway, guys, thoughts and views. I think from a spray point of view, really good, but I think masking was a bit of a ball ache. So I think the jury's still out in terms of whether it's the great investment I thought it would be. I think if I did the whole garage white, no problem, it's really easy. But I think because if you're going to be doing a different colour, then I think you might have the same problems as me. There might be an easier way, but hey, let's look at that a bit longer. And if you're wondering why on earth I've painted the ceilings grey and the walls white, all will be revealed in the next video when I'm going to be putting some really cool hexagon lights on. So check that out. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for some more videos. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And we'll see you next time.